Back with us on the SportsMax Zone. We continue talking cricket with Fazeer Mohammed, but let me just tell you at this point that there is a wild game going on now in the FA Cup in England at Goodison Park. Tottenham Hotspur, the visitors, against Everton. It's 4-3. They're in the 80th minute. Everton 4, Spurs 3. I suspect the scoring isn't done in that one just yet. Well, cricket is what it is because the race to see who will face New Zealand in the final of the World Test Championships at Lord's in London in June this year. That race is heating up following England's 227-run win over India in the first test of their 4-match series. That was in Chennai. Now, that win has pushed England to the top of the World Test Championships, but they still have work to do to seal that remaining spot in the Test Championship series. For England to play at Lord's, they must beat India 4-0, 3-0, or 3-1. For India to make the final, they must beat England 3-1 or 2-1. Australia can get to the final, depending on the outcome, of course, of this India-England series. Now, if we were to talk about the series itself, the former England spinner Monty Panesar has suggested India will take the captaincy of the Test team from Virat Kohli if the team loses the series. This is what Monty has been quoted saying. If he loses this Test series, they'll probably change the captain. This is a big series for Kohli to win, and if he's not able to do that, I think it will be the end of his captaincy. It is time when Virat just probably should focus on his batting. If this Test series is not won by India, then Rahane should take over the captaincy in Test cricket from Virat. Now, Kohli is India's most successful Test captain and boasts a winning record, but has lost his last 4 Tests in succession. Fazeer, I feel kind of, I feel there's a particular feeling I have asking you this question, because I want to ask you if Kohli's captaincy is under threat, but somewhere, somehow, I just know it's not a sensible question for a man like you, but it's a question that has been prompted by events over the past few days, so I'm obliged, Fazeer, I'm under the pain of speaking sensible, to ask you the question, is Kohli's captaincy under threat?
Well, by my speaking, I've confirmed that I'm a blithering fool based on what your standard that you said earlier. So therefore, the question falls right into my yard and is most appropriate in that regard. And you're right. There's no threat to Virat Kohli as captain. This is merely something that has been manufactured because we live in an era where when something happens, you stick the nearest microphone to the nearest former player, and they've got to say something because this is the era of shares and likes. You don't just say something that is just middle of the road. You say something that will provoke discussion. So just add Monty Panesar to the list of individuals who are looking for shares and likes.
Yeah, absolutely so. And if for those who came in late, let's run Kohli's numbers as captain, just to give, not even perspective, just to show you what the man has done. 57 matches as Test captain. He's presided over 33 wins, 10 draws, and 14 losses for a win percentage, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, 57.89%. You would agree with me though, Fazeer, that there is a kind of, I don't know if it's extra, but there is pressure on Kohli to shake up this team, to elicit a response, to coax a response, that's the word I'm looking for. To coax a response from this India team, because you're not supposed to win as you did in Australia without your best batsman and then come and be obliterated by the visitors on home soil. That is true. That means Kohli has to get a tune out of this band, you would agree.
Absolutely, and that's where it's correct. And as you said correctly in the introduction as well, losing 4 Test matches in a row, and especially the way Ajinkya Rahane performed leading that depleted India team. And I don't think India have any problem referring to their team as a depleted team with all the injuries that they would have suffered in that series. But the point of the matter is, Virat Kohli's 33 Test match victories are 6 more than the best ever England captain. Let's put it in perspective. 6 more than any England captain has achieved. So yes, he has to look at it again. Any sensible individual will say, you don't lose 1, you don't lose 2, you don't lose 3, you don't lose 4. And then you need to assess what is going on here. Am I distracted by other things? Is it because of the impending birth of my first child? Is it that there are other things that I'm focused on? Have I been getting caught up in all of the media hype about this, that, or the other? That's merely reason reason for a conversation with someone who has proven his worth, has actually brought the best out of him as a batsman. And to end the story, Ajinkya Rahane says this is not a discussion. So yes, it's something that is being created, and yes, it's worthy of consideration. But beyond that, I don't think getting any further.
Definitely, Faz. And in order to ensure that, he does the best that he can, do you see him making changes to the team that played in the first test? A lot of people, he came under pressure because he did not include Kuldeep in the squad. Of course, people are saying Washington Sundar. A lot of questions are circulating around the team. Do you see changes coming?
It's possible, but when you're in a country of 1-point-something billion people and 90-something% of them only see cricket as their source of relaxation and indeed celebration, then everybody's going to have a point of view. It's the same as Brentwood experienced as a footballer in Trinidad and Tobago. You have 1.3 million experts who feel they know everything about the game, and that's when you've got to find that balance. In chatting with someone like a Ravi Shastri, in chatting with the people whose opinions you respect, it might be that you need to make the odd alteration, whether or not he doesn't have faith in Kuldeep Yadav, the left-arm spinner. That seems to be the case. Should he rethink that situation? But it's hardly panic stations. Yes, they were beaten and beaten badly. But we see in the modern context of world cricket, teams win well and then lose badly and then rebound. So it's about seeing if that trend will continue. So it's hardly panic stations for India at this point.
Yep. Fazeer, we thank you very much for your contribution. As per usual, I can bid you farewell with this news that Tottenham Everton is now 4-4. Yeah, Harry Kane came off the bench to score the fourth for Spurs. They are in the 85th minute. I don't think the scoring is done yet. So it's a wild one at Goodison Park. Thank you, Fazeer. All the best to you.
Always a pleasure. Take care.
Excellent. Yeah, Brent, the world works in a funny way. You would have seen this story several times with football managers, because you would remember, Brent, last season when injuries decimated Man City and left them depleted and Liverpool was running away with the title. There were City fans on message boards on social media saying that Pep Guardiola should go.
And he was no good.
Listen, and that is the world we live in. Imagine being a club owner or as we were talking about India and England and what's going through Virat's mind. It's crazy. And you have to give credit to of course, players and administrators. I know later on in the show we're going to talk about social media and how that impacts sports. It is so crazy, but they have to be mentally strong. You really do.
Yep. Mariah, Virat Kohli. If Virat Kohli's job is under pressure, if is under threat rather, if Virat Kohli's job as captain is under threat because, he has lost 4 consecutive test matches and they were wiped out in that first test by England, nobody's job is safe.
Nobody's job is safe. And the thing is just to look at what Ajinkya Rahane did and then to think that, he can just come in and occupy that position, I think these fans are getting a little over the top.
We're on borrowed time, but let me ask you this. All right, so they say that Ajinkya Rahane, who led them to Test Series victory in Australia, should be the captain. Right. What if Rahane loses his first test as captain? Full-time captain.
They're going to sack him too. Come on. They're going to sack him too.
The never-ending story. We take a break. What about the second test, though, between England and India? Where can you watch it and at what time? What a question to ask. It's on the Home of Champions. Midnight if you're outside Jamaica. 11 p.m. if you are in Jamaica. Day 1, second test. Big game for both teams. Yeah, every ball live right here on the Home of Champions.